Hello my dear students, this is your Anamika ma'am. Welcome to e-learning social studies. Today we'll begin with chapter 4, India, the surface of its land. As I have told this to you earlier that Asia is the largest continent in the world, and after China, India is the second biggest country in Asia. And now we'll see that India shares its political border with many neighboring countries. These are the names of our neighbors, and we'll have a look at them in the map of India. So this is the map of India, which you might have seen earlier. Let's see our neighboring countries. Neighbors means like our neighbors would be people who live around us. Similarly, which countries are around us? The first one is Afghanistan, which is in northwest. So it is in the north and towards the west side. This is Afghanistan. Next neighbor is Pakistan, which is also in northwest. Then we have China, which is in the north. Bhutan also in north. Nepal also in north. Then we can see Bangladesh, which lies towards east of India. Myanmar also in the east, and Sri Lanka in southeast. So these are our 8 neighboring countries. Now we'll study about the physical features. Physical features means how our country India looks like. What are the landforms? Landforms means what kind of land is there in our entire country. So India is divided into 5 physical divisions or landforms. Let's see what are they. The first is the Himalayan mountain range. So that is the first physical feature of India. We have the Himalayas in the north. If you remember, we have studied this in our first chapter. Then we have the northern plains. We also have the desert region. Next we have the southern Plateau region, and we have the group of islands. Now we shall study them one by one. So first, the Himalayan mountain range. This is a beautiful picture of the Himalayan mountain range. Now what are mountains? Mountains are part of the earth that rise steeply from the surrounding area. So that is the reason we have seen that there are steep slopes in a mountain. A chain of mountains forms a range. So why we call it Himalayan mountain range? Because there is a chain of many mountains lying side by side. So that is called a range. The Himalayas to our north are one of the highest mountain ranges in the world. So these Himalayas, they are one of the highest mountain ranges in the entire world. And we have some of the highest peaks also in these Himalayas. They are Mount Everest, Nanda Devi and Kanchenjunga. And the highest mountain peak in the entire world is Mount Everest. And in which country it lies? It lies in Nepal, and it is 8,848 meters high. And the highest mountain peak in India is Kanchenjunga. So, the highest mountain peak in the world is Mount Everest, which is in Nepal, and the highest mountain peak in India is Kanchenjunga. Now, there are many rivers like Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, Beas, Indus, Satluj, etc. that originate from the snow-covered Himalayas. Originate means that they origin or they start from these Himalayas. There are many valleys like Kullu and Kashmir in these mountains. Now you must be wondering, what is a valley? A valley is the land between two mountains or hills. And the lower mountains are covered with thick forests. And what are forests? Forests are lands that are thickly covered with trees and plants, and these forests are shelter to wildlife. Besides these mountain ranges, India also has many hills. So hills, how are hills different from mountains? Hills are not that tall. Okay, they are not as high as mountains. They are the smaller ones. So what are the hills that we have in India? The Vindhyas, the Satpuras, the Nilgiris and the Aravalis. Now we'll come to the second physical feature or landform, which is the northern plains. Let's look at the picture of this northern plains. Now what is a plain? Plains are flat and level land. Northern plains are located to the south of the Himalayas. So the northern plains are just at the bottom of where the Himalayas end. They are watered by three river systems, the Satluj, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra. So these are the three main rivers that water or that give water in these northern plains. This area is also called the Gangetic Plains. So this northern plains, this area, they are also called the Gangetic Plain, and this area is densely populated. Why it is densely populated? Because it is very comfortable to live in a plain as the land is fertile there. Yes, and what is the meaning of fertile? Fertile means that the soil, which is essential for the plant to grow, is full of nutrients. So that is the reason many plants and crops grow there, and it is best for farming. So this is the reason that this area is densely populated. Now the rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Brahmaputra also form a delta near the Bay of Bengal. You must be wondering, what is a delta? Delta is a triangular piece of land formed by the rivers before they fall into the sea. So Bay of Bengal is a sea, and these three rivers, they form a triangular piece of land before they fall into the sea, and this triangular piece of land is called delta. Now we'll study the next physical feature or landform, which is the desert region. Desert is an area which is very hot, dry and sandy, and receives little or no rainfall. So this land is full of sand. It is very hot, it is dry. And why it is dry? Because it receives very little or no rainfall. Only a few thorny plants or shrubs grow here, because you must understand that in sand not many plants can grow. The northwestern part of India has a vast sandy desert which is called the Great Indian Desert or Thar Desert, and it covers most of the western Rajasthan. So our Thar Desert, it covers the western part of Rajasthan. The land here is rocky and sandy. See, this is the picture of the desert. As the life is tough, very few people live here, because see, without plants, without water, life is not very comfortable. That is the reason in desert areas very few people live. Camel is known as the ship of the desert, as it is the most important means of transport. And why it is very important? Because it can walk in hot sand without food or water for several days. Now the next is the southern plateau region. This is the picture of the plateau region. The southern part of India is a peninsula. So if you think, or if you picture the map that I had shown you earlier, the southern part or the bottom part of India, it is called peninsula. And what is a peninsula? A peninsula is a triangle shaped land that is surrounded by water on its three sides. So remember that bottom part of our country is like a triangle. So that is called a peninsula, and it is covered with water from three sides. And if you remember, I have told this to you earlier as well in our first chapter, that in the east we have the Bay of Bengal, in the west we have the Arabian Sea, and in the south we have the Indian Ocean. Now, main rain-fed rivers that run through the southern plateau region are Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. Why they are called rain-fed rivers? Because the water in these rivers is dependent on the rains. That is the reason in summer usually these rivers dry. Now this part of India is also called the Southern Plateau or the Deccan Plateau. Now what is a plateau? It is a flat land which is higher than the surrounding area. So plateau is not very flat like plains, and it is not very steep and high like mountains. It is just a flat land which is little higher than the surrounding areas. This area is not very fertile, as the land here is very rocky and hard. So you can imagine that the plants will not easily grow in rocky and hard land. That is the reason this area is not very fertile. This area is rich in minerals. What are minerals? These are the natural resources which are dug from inside the ground, inside the earth. Like few minerals are diamonds, iron, gold, etc. So our southern plateau region, which we also call Deccan Plateau, is very rich in minerals. The southern plateau region is covered by hills on both the sides, the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats. So the Western Ghats are on the left side and the Eastern on the right side. India also has a long coastline in the east and the west of these Ghats, known as the coastal plains. This term also we read in our first chapter. So this peninsula region, as we have studied, that it is covered with water from all the sides, from the three sides. So this land where the water and the this area where the land meets water is called coast and the coastal plains. Now let's understand the climate of our country, India. Since there is so much variation in landforms, the climate differs in all these places. So you must have experienced, children, that when you go to mountains, the climate is different. When you go to a coastal plain or to the beaches, the climate is different. So because India has different landforms, the climate also is different in different parts of the country. The Himalayan regions are very cold and snowbound during the most part of the year, as you saw in the picture also. The northern plains are very hot in summer and very cold in winter. The southern part is moderate. Moderate means neither very hot nor very cold. So it is moderate. The desert region is very hot and dry with very little rainfall. And the monsoon winds bring most of the rainfall in India. So our country, India, the rain is mainly dependent on the monsoon winds. I hope this much is understood by you all, and I really hope you have developed love for S.Sc or social studies by now. Thank you so much.